Hey, good Saturday afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are tracking storms across the southeast today. Now, we are going live on all of our platforms. We don't usually have a forecast on Saturdays, but given the extreme and historic circumstances that we're tracking right now, we did want to have a forecast today. So it's just about shortly after noon here. Here is your radar right now. And before we get started, I'm going to show you the radar, but I want to check my audio first. So I'm going to check my audio, make sure that you can hear me, and then we'll get started here. Let me know what questions you have in the chat. Put your questions in the comment section and I can see them right in front of me. So it sounds like you can hear me. So that means that, or I can hear myself on the live stream. That means you should be able to hear me as well. So let's get to this historic tornado outbreak, and then I will get to your forecast, and then we'll go back to the radar here. So right now, it looks like we have tornado warned storms. Give you a wide view. What are we watching? What are we looking at right now? A line of storms anywhere from Nashville. We have one severe thunderstorm warning right outside of Nashville that's warned for penny-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. A line of storms that are not severe warned all the way down into Mississippi. We have 4 tornado warnings in Mississippi right now. This first tornado warning is moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour. Reading what the National Weather Service has, pretty similar for this one. This one a little bit more impressive, and this is something that we talked about yesterday in the forecast. If these storms can stay a little bit more isolated, this cluster is going to have a really hard time producing strong tornadoes. It's possible, but it's going to have a really hard time, and it's going to have a hard time producing hail. If we could get these isolated tornadoes, these isolated storms right here, we call this a discrete supercell, we can get larger hailstones and a higher chance for a strong long track tornado. So this severe thunderstorm, tornado warned storm right here in the central southern side of Mississippi is warned for a tornado and half-dollar sized hail. That is 1.25 inches in size, just larger than the size of a quarter. Going down to the south now we're in the southern side of Mississippi and the far eastern side of Louisiana. There's the Louisiana boot right there, okay, New Orleans, eastern side. This warned storm is for a potential tornado and golf ball sized hail. This is going into Kentwood, Magnolia, Tylertown, into Mississippi as we speak. So there's your radar update. I'm going to check the chat, wait for your messages to come in before I move on to the forecast. Let me know where you're watching from today so we can make this forecast specifically to you. And we can go back while we're waiting for those messages to come in. We can look at what's already happened this morning. We do have quarter-sized hail reported in Taylor, Mississippi. That's in Lafayette County, Lafayette County, yes. Quarter-sized hail. Let's go back earlier on. So this is 8:20 this morning. We've had tornado warnings all night long. I'm not quite sure there has been a moment since 6 o'clock last night that we have not had a tornado warning in the US. And at some times we had like 12 at the same time. It was quite impressive. But 8 o'clock this morning, that's what you're looking at now. Quarter-sized hail in Ruston. Several tornado warnings. Some of these were confirmed. I woke up this morning seeing that a lot of these were confirmed tornadoes. And I apologize for my radar. It's going to look a little splotchy for a minute. There you go. There's a confirmed tornado. From the emergency manager. Sharkey County Emergency Management reports houses damaged and power lines down near Grace with an ambulance en route for possible injuries. So again, this is in the far western side of Mississippi. Another tornado warning this morning. And if we go through here, you're going to continue throughout the morning hours. You can see there's your 1-inch hail just south of Oxford. There's your confirmed tornado out in Macomb. And I think this is brand new information. Okay, brand new information out in Kentwood. We do have now a confirmed tornado. See what the National Weather Service says about this. So they're saying that a confirmed tornado was located near Osika, or 15 miles northeast of Greensburg, moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour. That's a hard tornado to chase. So if you're out there chasing today, this is a tough area to chase in. The National Weather Service saying that damaging tornado and golf ball size hail is what we're watching for right here. Damaging tornado and golf ball size hail. And I can actually pull up another radar. Let's see. So we're pulling data here, set up my radars because we are at the very beginning of our live stream. So I haven't set up my radars quite yet, but we're pulling data right now. And I'll switch over so that you all can see what I'm seeing here. There we go. Seeing a few questions come in. We'll wait just a minute or two to get all of your questions in, and then we'll start the forecast because I know we probably have more questions about the forecast today. So I'll wait just a minute for those to come in. There we go. This is what I want you to see here. So there's your confirmed tornado. Where would you expect it? It's very easy to point out right here. So where we see gate to gate, this is a nice velocity couplet here. What this shows on the bottom right hand corner of your screen is not only wind direction, but also wind speed. So the brighter these colors are, the higher the wind speed. So we've got some pretty high wind speeds right here, and we can see that close rotation. So we know that this tornado is on the ground. And we're going to switch this bottom left-hand corner from normalized rotation to correlation coefficient, called a CC. And what we can see in the exact area where we have that velocity couplet is we have a debris ball. Okay, so we know that it's a debris ball, which means that the tornado is lofting debris into the air, high up into this storm, and the radar is indicating that we've got some large objects that is not rain high into this storm. So this is a debris ball. Whenever it matches up with that velocity couplet, we know that that tornado is on the ground. Most likely a pretty strong tornado as well. So right there, that's where the tornado is. And then we've got the hail up into the storm. So you see that if you go to the north just a little bit, you can see all of that hail highlighted there. And your yellows and oranges, that's going to be the largest hail going into the southern side of Mississippi right now. Zooming out so you can see what we're talking about. Southern side of Mississippi, headed in between Magnolia and Tylertown right now. So that's what we're looking at. What questions do we have this morning? Anthony says, working overtime. Yep. You know, whenever we have these very intense severe weather days, you just know, cancel your plans. I canceled my plans today, and I said, I'll be here on the radar. That's what you do as a meteorologist, right? One person asking, how are we looking in western North Carolina? Great question. We will get to the forecast here in just a minute. Sunny says Augusta, Georgia. So we're talking about North Carolina and Georgia. Let's get to that. So let's get to your forecast here. There you go. Okay, your weather headlines today. This is going to look very similar to what we normally see on the noon show. So what we normally do on the noon show is we give you a forecast, we'll give you your headlines, we'll give you what to expect for the next day, the next few days. And we'll talk about what just happened last night as well. So, of course, we've talked about that tornado outbreak that is ongoing right now. Excessive rainfall farther up to the north into places like Tennessee and Kentucky. And we also have a chance for severe weather on Sunday, which is most likely what our North Carolina people, Storm Pro Solutions, North Carolina, you're probably going to get hit either late tonight or into Sunday, but we'll take a look at the radar here in just a few minutes. Last night, we started out with storms pretty early on, right around 12:30, but we really didn't see anything significant until we got into the later night hours. You can see those storms started in Kansas City, went through Omaha, Nebraska, but one of the most impressive things that I saw on radar last night came right between Kansas City and St. Louis. You can see all of those tornado warned storms and a ton of hail reports anywhere from Springfield, specifically the Ozarks, all the way into St. Louis. Another place that we're going to talk about here will be College Station, Texas, with some decent hail as well. Tons of tornadoes reported, some all at the same time through the late night hours last night. I would say between about 6:30 to really early this morning. We just had tornado warning after warning after warning. If you move farther to the north, however, this was more of a wind event. And at times we recorded wind speeds, wind gusts over 80 miles an hour. Very, very strong wind gust there. And that straight line wind can do a lot of impacts to structures in the area. It can do a lot of impact to structures in the area. So a lot of people were talking about that straight line wind being just as impactful as tornadoes can be. And that depends on the size of the tornado. Of course, that comes with a few caveats. But I do want to talk about our hailstorms last night. 3-star hailstorm out in Louisville, Kentucky. 2-inch size hail, over 300,000 structures impacted. Another 4-star hailstorm, I think, in College Station. Was this a 4-star or was this a 3-star? Did I get this correct? Let me double check. I want to give you guys the most accurate information. Okay, so just to confirm, Louisville, 4-star. College Station, 4-star. And St. Louis, Springfield area, also a 4-star. So all three of these that I'm showing you are 4-star maps. And I think really because of the wide impact that these storms hit. You know, it wasn't just like it hit one town. You can see that even this storm hit from College Station to Sayersville to Carthage. This is out in Texas. And then our other 4-star storm, I wonder if this is some sort of record. We'll have to ask Derek if this is a record for the amount of 4-stars all in one day. Maybe not, but this is the most impressive storms that I saw last night. This is what we really tracked here on Hail Trace, were those storms from Springfield to St. Louis. We saw some really, really impressive storms, really specifically to the south of Springfield in the Ozarks. Now I'll tell you about the Ozarks. If you don't know about the Ozarks, there's some really nice houses in this area. It's a big vacation area. Okay, there's lake houses galore in the Ozarks. So there's a lot of houses, even though it may be a small population because not a ton of people live there, but there's a lot of lake houses. There's a lot of people that will travel down there in the summer. So I'm sure they're looking to get that fixed before they go and vacation in the summer. I'm going to take this radar off right now. I will put it back on here in a few minutes. But I want you to see the houses impacted. Over almost 700,000 homes or structures impacted by storms from the Ozarks to St. Louis. And I think that that number just accounts for hail. Of course, we also had some really intense and terrible tornadoes in this area and some high wind that came along with this as well. Again, that was our third 4-star storm. See if we can go along here. I'm going to pull our radar back up so that you can see what we're looking at. Moving on with the forecast. Come on. Alrighty, there we go. So temperatures have cooled down a little bit across a good portion of the U.S. If you didn't get that cool down today, you're probably going to get it tomorrow, except for our North Carolina folks. You're going to get it on Monday. So you're going to stay pretty warm today, warm tomorrow, with a little bit of a cool down coming by Monday. Current conditions, we've talked about this already. The big activity is down to the southeast where we have that front that's coming through. Storms right along or in front of the front are going to have the best chance for isolated and discrete characteristics that are going to make them the best contenders for large tornadoes and large hail. Temperatures right now, as I mentioned, in the 50s here in Oklahoma City, but it gets a lot warmer the farther south and east that you head, and you need those warm temperatures for storms to form. Right now we've got that, I think it's a severe thunderstorm watch. I could be wrong on that. Let me double check this. Excuse me, I was incorrect. It is a tornado watch until 6 o'clock this evening. Just reading about this watch real quick. Highlighted there in yellow. And then of course you can see the warnings scattered across Tennessee and Mississippi. High wind gusts yesterday. Holy moly, did you guys feel that wind? If you didn't, you're probably off on the East Coast, but most of us felt that wind even without thunderstorms yesterday. So what are we expecting here? We had some questions, and I want to make sure that we're looking in the right areas. Western North Carolina, Augusta, Georgia, Nashville, and Jackson, Mississippi. So I think the first one that's going to get hit will be Nashville. Adam's asking about Nashville. So storms are approaching the Nashville area right now. If not, storms may be just right outside of Nashville. Yeah. So you may be getting some of those non-severe storms right now. Yeah, there's nothing severe in Nashville right now. However, give it another 20 minutes and you're going to have storms right over your head. Storms will continue. It's quite messy in this area. You've got a lower risk for severe storms, but it's still on the table, okay? It's a level 3 risk. For severe storms in Nashville, I think one of the biggest risks that you're going to have will be that flooding risk, but you're also going to get high wind. Absolutely, you're going to get high wind. Hail, if you get it, will be on the smaller side, okay? The farther that we get to the east, the smaller that hail goes, so I would say maybe up to the size of a quarter. Down here to the south, you could get up to baseball-sized hail. The farther north you go, the smaller the hail goes. And you're probably going to get rain all the way through the evening, if not late night hours. Maybe by about 10 or 11 o'clock, you're finally done with the rain. So you're going to have a long time to deal with these storms today. It's not just going to be a one-and-done thing like it was last night in places like Kansas City. They got like 2 storms. And then they were dry for the rest of the night. You're probably going to have on and off storms over the next few hours. How about 5-6 hours? Jackson, Mississippi. I think that was the next place that we were watching for. Oh, no, Augusta, Georgia. Augusta, Georgia timeline. Am I right on that? No, I'm wrong on that. Jackson, Mississippi. Well, Jackson's getting storms right now. Or are they done with storms? Jackson. Yeah, you've got storms right in between you right now. Look at this. Go back to the radar here. There you go. So here's Jackson. You've got storms up to the north, a tornado warning down to the south. You're good right now, nothing coming your way. Look at storm motion. This thing does not do a great job of showing the last 15 minutes. I just want to look at the last 15 minutes to see storm motion. So if you're on the south side of Jackson, maybe east side of Jackson, you may get hit by this storm right here. However, for the most part, Jackson is just going to get maybe a light shower or two. Everything else is going to the north. That doesn't mean that something else can't develop farther back here within the next hour. However, I would give it another 2 hours and you're probably severe clear. Yeah, I would say by about 3 o'clock this afternoon, if not beforehand, you're severe clear in Jackson. Okay, now we're moving on to Georgia, right? Augusta, Georgia. That's the next one. Back to the graphics. Justin asks, any hail headed to Jackson, Mississippi Metro? I think that you've got a low chance right now. If storms back to the west develop within the next hour, maybe you could get hail in your area. You're not out of the risk yet. However, in the metro, very low risk. I mean, what do you consider the metro? Do you consider like Menindal? Is that how you say it? Panola? Puckett? Do you consider that the metro? Everyone has a different meaning for what the metro would be. So that's about, it's about 30 miles outside of Jackson. It's not too bad. Because there's a tornado warning there right now. And it's warned for quarter-size hail, so maybe some small hail in this area. Moving on. Okay. Moving on to Georgia. Your timeline here will be a little bit later in the day. I would say late afternoon or late evening. Late evening into the overnight hours. By the time we get into Georgia, these storms are going to be a lot more isolated and the risk is going to be a lot lower. So it will most likely be a wind event and your hail risk is going to be very low. The farther east that we go, the lower that hail risk is. Your hail risk is very low, most likely at this point, a wind event. So you could get maybe a tornado or two out of this. I think that's absolutely possible, but I think that the high wind is going to be your biggest hazard. And then the last one that we had on here, Western North Carolina. Got the radar on it right now. Okay, storms are coming in late tonight, early tomorrow morning. So we're talking about, you're probably in bed by this point, unless you're a night owl. You're probably asleep. Maybe the storms are waking you up through the overnight hours. Maybe you hear the lightning and the thunder outside of your window. Again, your hail risk is pretty low here. Pretty low hail risk in Western North Carolina. It's possible, but I think it's going to be a very, very low risk. If I was a betting person, I would say no hail in this area. Again, high wind is going to be your biggest issue. High wind and potential tornadoes will be your biggest issue. And those storms will be out of your hair by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, especially if you sleep in on Sundays. Those storms will be out of your way and off to the central portion of North Carolina as we head into the mid-morning hours and really almost completely out of our area by the time we go to bed on Sunday. But I talked about all the risks here. So we went through the radar, we went through the timeline. I talked about all of the risks. We'll go through the timeline one more time so you guys can see almost city by city where we're expecting storms. So I'll go through this slowly. But I do also have a hail map, I have a wind map, and I have a tornado map. And we'll show you exactly what we're expecting in terms of hail sizes today and wind speeds. You know, if we go farther to the north, it's going to be more of a rain and wind event. I think that your hail risk up here in places like Cincinnati is very, very low. West Virginia, Kentucky, a very low chance for any hail, but I think that you will probably see some high wind, maybe 60, 70 miles an hour. There's your hail forecast. As I mentioned, I told you Western Virginia, Georgia, you're probably getting low hail, if any at all. Your better chance for those larger hailstones will be anywhere from where the storms are right now, from Jackson to Nashville, all the way to Birmingham. And after we get out of Alabama, I think that that storm risk will go down significantly. That hail risk, excuse me, will go down significantly. The wind risk is a different story. Oh wait, here's your significant hail model. I think this does a great job of showing what we're expecting. Good risk for hail right now, right? Shortly after 12, 1 o'clock, but as we get into the evening hours, as we get farther to the east, that risk goes down significantly. Maybe the panhandle of Florida has a chance for hail, but everyone else has a very, very low chance as we head into the late overnight hours. However, I still think that the biggest hail size today could be over 2 inches. I think that's possible. I mean, we already are warned for golf balls right now down in the southern side of Mississippi, so I definitely think that's possible. Now, wind is going to be a big issue. I mentioned, we talked about the western side of North Carolina. You're definitely going to get some strong wind, anywhere between 65 to 75 miles an hour. I think that if you get a thunderstorm, you'll have that strong wind with it. Atlanta, Augusta, Georgia, as we talked about as well, you're also going to get high wind. I'm seeing in our chat that we're talking about Nashville. Let's see. What are we talking about here? I like our meteorology chat because sometimes they see things that I don't see. Well, they're talking about Nashville is really close to Paducah, Kentucky. And I'll explain why we're talking about that. Give me just a minute. Someone else can help me with this, maybe about 2 hours out of Paducah. So we were just talking about upgrading, and I want to make sure I'm correct on this before I announce this to everyone. So we are officially upgrading that 4-star map that I showed you earlier to a 5-star. That is in Paducah, Kentucky into Indiana from a storm last night. So you see on here it says 3-star. That is incorrect. It is officially a 5-star map. Our lead meteorologist said, after some time reviewing the Kentucky-Indiana map today from last night, from these storms last night, it has been boosted. Owensboro got a ton of impact, and areas around Louisville, Kentucky got hit good too. So they are now upgrading this to a 5-star, the first 5-star map of the year. Take this off here so you guys can see. Over 300,000 homes impacted. I wonder if they're going to bump that up a little bit based on new damage surveys. Louisville, of course, you can see those large hailstones in Louisville. I mean, almost a direct hit to the town. So this is our first 5-star map of the year from Paducah to Louisville, Kentucky. Here we go. Alrighty. Well, we'll move on to your questions now, and we'll move on to the rest of the forecast. But I wanted you guys, I mean, you guys are some of the first to know. I don't even know if we've sent out a hail trace alert about that yet. Okay, where was I? What was I talking about here? High wind? I think I was talking about high wind. All right, yeah, there's going to be high wind today. Absolutely. And the best chances are obviously farther down to the south, but I think farther out to the east, you're going to see a lot of wind reports as well. Your tornado risk is definitely the most impressive thing that you could see today. I mean, we've already seen so many tornado warnings, not only today, but also last night. As we head into the rest of this evening, into the overnight hours, that tornado risk is going to stay in that high category, that level 5 out of 5. That is the highest that you can go. We're talking about not only just one strong tornado here, but we're talking about several strong tornadoes, potentially all at the same time. You're going to have a lot of warnings all at once. You're going to have a lot of areas that will be impacted by tornadoes today, as we've already seen. And a lot of these storms are just now getting into this area, and then they'll track to the east. So we'll continue to see this be an issue as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Sunny asks for Augusta, Georgia. We can go back to the wind map. What do I have? For Augusta, could we see 74 to 95 mile per hour wind speeds? Yeah, you're in the 74. I don't think that you're going to see 95, but I think that you could see 75 mile per hour wind speeds. I think you're going to struggle to get up to 80, but 75 mile per hour wind gusts I think are possible in Augusta. All right, any more questions? Give me just a minute and I'll continue with the forecast here in just a minute. Michael says, went for a drive last night to get out of the warning areas and was getting tornado warning alerts left and right for Western Kentucky. So wondering how hard they got hit. I think pretty hard. John asking about questions for Nashville. So Nashville has some storms right now. We'll see. I think that you've got more storms coming. So you're not severe warned yet. However, you're not out of the severe risk yet. You still absolutely have a chance for severe weather later on today. Matt asks, so what does it take for a map to move from 3 to 5 stars? So we initially said this was I don't know if we said a 3 or a 4-star map. So we initially said either a 3 or 4-star map because we saw large hail coming into a heavily populated area. So it's not just about the hail size, it's also about the population. Do a lot of people live there, or is it a really small town? How many people or structures in this area got hit, right? Then, so that's the initial estimate. So we know the population of the area, we know the hail size, we can see all of that on radar. So there's the estimate. Then we go back, and our meteorologists, they don't just look at the storm as it's happening, they go back and they review the storm maybe an hour later, maybe the next day. So another meteorologist will come and look at it. And it's a team effort to make those decisions. And they'll look at pictures on social media. They'll look at reports that you guys send us. And they'll say, you know, this hail maybe was also wind driven, or this hail did more impact than what we originally thought. We see these pictures, we see that the impact that it did to a certain area, and then it could be upgraded from there. So a lot of times it may take the next day, it may take until the sun comes up to really see that impact, and then we'll start to get those reports. And at that point, it could be upgraded. And maybe we thought that, oh, this storm was producing smaller hail as it got onto the outskirts of the city, so we're not going to include that population. in that first 3-star map, 4-star map. But then the next day we see, oh, there was golf ball size hail in that area. We have to include that area. Well, the population goes up. Now the number of people that were impacted goes up. Now it can be upgraded to a 5-star. So it's definitely a team effort to know what star rating that map will end up being. That's why you could see some changes within the first 24 hours of the map. However, the area itself that we mapped usually doesn't change too much. We're usually pretty accurate the first time. There may just be some small tweaking that we go back and do afterwards. Anyway, there's your tornado forecast. Moving on with the forecast here. As we head into Sunday, here's Sunday. It's a level 2 risk. It's a slight risk highlighted there in yellow. Those storms will continue from the overnight hours tonight and into early Sunday morning. Again, the better chance for hail will be farther down to the south and to the places like Florida Panhandle, Jacksonville, and maybe even southern Georgia. However, I think the farther north that we go, the less likely you are to get hail at all. If you do get any hail, it'll be small. High wind is expected, and that tornado threat stays on the board for tomorrow as well. Most of these storms will be out by the late afternoon, but some may try to linger or even redevelop. We're seeing that in central North Carolina, central South Carolina, some storms redeveloping into the evening hours, so it may take a little bit longer for those to exit off the coast. But by Monday morning, we're severe clear for the entire U.S. Here's your risk for storms tomorrow. I have just about everything at that moderate level, that 2 out of 5 level. Tornadoes still on the board, high winds also on the board, hail farther down to the south. So I have that anywhere from Jacksonville, maybe up to Charleston. I really, really doubt. I know that I have hail all the way up to like the Virginias. I think that's stretching it a little bit. I think it'll be extremely isolated if we do see any hail up there, extremely isolated. There's your wind forecast for Saturday, for Sunday. This should be updated to Sunday. Sorry about the mistake there. For Sunday, we are expecting high wind across a wide area all along the East Coast, and tornado forecast, level 2. Highlighted there in yellow, which we consider level 2 is a moderate category here. There's your hail forecast. I think right here, this is why we stretched that potential ping pong to golf ball size hail all the way up to the Virginias, just because we could see a little area, again, I told you very isolated, that sees some larger hailstones, but the better chances will be farther down to the south, and I think really we could probably cut it off like right here and to the south. There's your hail model. And then we're finally clear, quiet. You can go out, get on roofs on Monday. I think it'll be a cooler but nice day to get out there. No severe weather coming in, even some snow out in some of these places that got hit as we head into the middle of next week. I do think that some of this on Wednesday could be severe weather, nothing like what we saw today or what we're seeing today. However, the potential for severe weather to return by the middle of next week is not going to be ruled out. So just plan to be busy for the next week or two. And I think that's it. Why do we think that we're going to be busy for the next week? This is what we look for, these deep troughs. So we've got a ridge and we've got a trough. And whenever we see these deep troughs, we know that there will be some sort of severe weather, most likely on the upslope of this trough. So as it goes up, the jet stream flows from west to east. And as it goes up, that's where we see the best likelihood for severe weather. And you can see out on the west coast, early next week by Tuesday, we start to see another one of these troughs coming in, which is why we're going to get snow all across places like Colorado into Nebraska into Iowa. But right there, that's what I'm watching for potential severe weather by next Wednesday. It looks like we could get something, not as impressive as what we saw this week, but we could get something by the middle of next week. We stay in this active pattern, but we go into more of a zonal flow as we head into the last week of March. A zonal flow means not as many highs and lows. It means it's a lot straighter across for that for the jet stream as we head into the end of March. And I think there's your forecast. Future temperatures here. 50s today in Oklahoma, warmer out to the east. Temperatures cooling as we head into the next day or two. Still 50s in Oklahoma. By Sunday, 60s down in Dallas. We've got the 50s up in Memphis tomorrow afternoon. 60s in Birmingham. As I mentioned on Monday, if you're going to get out and do some door knocking, it's going to be pretty nice into the plains, however, a little bit cooler down to the south. So you may need a light jacket as you get out there and hit the streets or even get on the roofs. But it'll warm up as we head into the middle to later portion of the work week. There's that low. I talked about Wednesday. You got your low pressure system right here, cold air behind it, warm air in front of it. That is the perfect setup for severe weather. So I'm calling it now, next Wednesday. Keep an eye on that. And your extended temperature outlook as we head into the end of this month. So this is the 19th through the 23rd. It looks like temperatures will be above average for a good portion of the U.S. That's nice to see. We're seeing a little bit of a warm up here. And we could even have some above average moisture out to the east. So what does this mean? What does this tell us here? Anytime that we see above average moisture, we will probably see some decent activity. So some sort of active pattern is going on. We need moisture for storms. And if we have that moisture coming in, then we could get, especially if we have heat, the potential for storms. So I'm kind of wondering what it looks like the 19th into the 23rd. Could we see storms in our area, especially through like the Tennessee Valley? And there's your forecast. So we're going to go back to the radar. If you do need a map, the first 5-star map is officially up on the Hail Trace site. If you need a map and you're not signed up for Hail Trace, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com or www.hailtrace.com for more information on our tornado, wind, and hail maps. I only showed the hail maps here on this forecast today, but we also do wind and tornado maps as well. And obviously, we just had a ton of tornadoes last night, so that is something that we have mapped on our site as well. All right, so let's go back to the radar. What are we looking at now? We've got, oh my goodness, this tornado warning down that's moving into Oakville. Zoom out a little bit. Oakville, Bassfield, and Prentice. This is now a particularly dangerous situation. The National Weather Service only issues these types of tornado warnings when they know that there is a tornado on the ground and it is headed for a populated area. So this is a particularly dangerous situation, and it is moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour. We have a confirmed large and destructive tornado that was located near Salem. Do we have Salem on the map? It's not popping up on the map right now, but you can see exactly where that tornado is. It's a very classic structure here. Let's switch over radars and see if we can get a better look. So this is the radar out of Jackson, Mississippi. It's pulling in data right now. As I mentioned, very classic structure. You can see the hook echo. You can see where we're expecting the hail farther up to the north. We do have a debris ball with this right now. We have a debris ball right here. And you can see exactly where we have gate-to-gate wind speeds, or gate-to-gate velocity signature, and some really strong wind with this. So that tornado right in here, there's your debris ball. That means that this tornado is picking up debris, picking up things on the ground, homes, houses, cars, structures, throwing it into the air. We can see that by that debris ball right there. And then, of course, we've got hail on the north side of this structure as well. This is moving to the north east at 50 miles an hour. And the National Weather Service is saying a particularly dangerous situation. Take cover now. They're saying it's a deadly tornado. So this is moving into Oakville, Bassfield, Prentice. As always, we will show you these storms, but I'll tell you if you know anyone in this area. I know we had someone from Jackson. I know that we had someone from Jackson in this chat earlier, so if you know anyone in this area, or if you know anyone even in Maggie or Collins or Taylorsville or Bay Springs, let them know that they have a particularly dangerous situation just behind them that could be coming for them as well, and they need to go ahead and prepare and get in their safe space. And you can see the storm motion here. Not only this, but this is something that we saw last night in Missouri, that these storms, they get on a little track here and they follow one after another. So we've got these storms up here just to the north of Bay Springs and Raleigh, Mississippi. That just got hit, right, by a potential tornado. We've got a confirmed tornado that's on its way to that exact same space. We've got another tornado behind that, or at least tornado-warned storm, powerful storm, that's coming into those same areas that just got hit. And it's very difficult to see these storms. So this is becoming a dangerous situation, because oftentimes after the sirens go off, a lot of people will go outside of their homes and they will say what's going on, what just happened, but they don't know they have another storm coming behind them. So again, Jackson, Mississippi, if you know anyone there, or I guess really in the outskirts of Jackson, so this is about 30 minutes away, let them know. So let's see if we could go to here's Jackson. Just outside of the city, we have that tornado. Hail going over the highway within the next 5 minutes here. And then they're going to get hit with another tornado just coming up behind it in just a few minutes. So again, the National Weather Service saying a confirmed large and destructive tornado is on the ground, and we can see that from our radar view as well. We can see that debris ball very well defined. We can see that gate-to-gate wind, gate-to-gate radar signature here, velocity signature. And then we've, of course, got that hail core just getting a little messy now, just barely to the north. This is not the only tornado warning that we have in Mississippi right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tornado warnings right now. The other one that is confirmed is in Tupelo. For this one, the National Weather Service is saying radar indicated rotation This tornado warning goes until 1:15, so we've got another 8 minutes on this. And this one is a lot more difficult to see up in Tupelo. I think the more impressive one is definitely down here in Oakville right now. So that is definitely a scary situation for them. Myron says, not looking good for Oakville, Mississippi. No, not at all. No, it's a scary situation for them. This tornado, from what the National Weather Service is saying, has a likelihood to stay on the ground for quite some time. They're saying that it will likely be unimpeded as it moves to the northeast throughout the afternoon. Therefore, this tornado may persist for quite a while at intense to violent intensity. Holy moly. So it has a while that it will stay on the ground, which is why I was saying earlier, even if you're out of the tornado warning in places like Collins or maybe even Bay Springs, let's see if we can get some more cities on the map, Mount Olive, Maggie, Mize, Hot Coffee. If you are in these areas, make sure that you are also preparing to take shelter, if not already sheltering in your spot, in your safe space. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you need to go to a different location, you have to go now, or you have to stay put, because this thing is moving very quickly at 50 miles an hour towards your area, and it does look like it has the likelihood to be on the ground once it gets to you. It's got about 40 minutes until it gets to Bay Springs. Maybe a little less than that. Less than 30 minutes to Collins. So Collins, I would go ahead and get in your safe space. If I were in Collins, I would absolutely be in your safe space right now. And of course, for all of you who are joining us on Twitter right now, I don't think that Twitter has the capability for you to comment or message us. However, if you go to YouTube or our Facebook page, you can comment and message us, ask us questions, and we can answer those questions for you as well. We can go through all throughout the US. We don't cover just one area. Looking at some of the cameras in Mississippi right now, seeing if we could get a good shot of this storm. We've got a lot of cameras down in Hattiesburg, and we've got one camera up in Collins. So we see some very ominous looking clouds here. Let me see if I can bring this up for you so that you can see what I'm seeing here. So again, from the, let me switch this over. From the Mississippi Department of Transportation, we can see some very ominous looking clouds. I don't know if I make this full screen, how it looks for you all. I don't know what you can see if I make it full screen. But if we do see anything, it'll be on the left-hand corner of your screen. That's where we're watching. This may be too far away. Because we're looking down in Hattiesburg, but the storm coming into Collins, so we do have a camera in Collins. Looking to the north, looking to the south, looking a little more ominous out there, getting some rain right now in Collins. And again, that tornado is right here in Oakville, Goss, not quite sure how to say that. Bassfield is where that tornado is going to. Not looking as impressive as it was earlier. However, it could be cycling. So even if it looks a little weaker right now, it could be much stronger within the next radar scan, maybe 2 radar scans from now. So a little breakdown of the storm where we can see there's the tornado right where that red square is. The hail right up here, going just to the north of Bassfield right now. Going into Prentice, you're going to get some hail. And then our camera is located right over here in the north side of Hattiesburg. And there's it's looking to the north. So if we do see anything, it'll be on the left-hand side of the screen, right over here. We can switch camera views. Bellevue, not available right now. If we want to look to the west. Not seeing much here. Again, you're going to be looking up in the left-hand corner of your screen, seeing if we can see this tornado that's coming through right now. That tornado, once again, coming into Bassfield right now. We still have some really good storm relative velocity. That's what you see in the bottom corner of your screen. And now we're just waiting on this tornado that could still be on the ground. It doesn't have as significant as a debris ball as it did earlier. We can switch radar views, but I do think that we're in the best radar, that we're using the best radar right now. It does look like we've got our debris ball back. Here I can turn this window off and show you that we do have a decent debris ball back. A few scans ago, it looked like maybe it had either stopped hitting things or had weakened just a little bit, but it does look like this tornado is hitting things now. Again, if you're just joining us, the National Weather Service has said the biggest hazard here is a deadly tornado. Weather spotters confirmed this tornado. They are issuing a tornado emergency for southeastern Lawrence, northwest Marion, and southwest Jefferson, Davis counties. They're saying this is a particularly dangerous situation. They're saying take cover now. They're saying you are in a life-threatening situation. Flying debris may be deadly to those caught without shelter. They go on to say mobile homes will be destroyed, considerable damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles are likely, and complete destruction is possible. Again, that is from the National Weather Service out of, I think, Jackson. Yes, out of Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah, really impressive radar signature here showing a tornado on the ground headed into Collins right now. So as we mentioned earlier, where we said, if you're farther out in places like Collins or Taylorsville, I would go ahead and take your shelter. I know the National Weather Service hasn't issued the continuation of a tornado warning here. However, I do think that they will. So I'm waiting for them to do that. I am curious, will they issue that or will they not? I think that they will. So again, if you're just now joining us, we are in the central to southern side of Mississippi right now. So here's Jackson, and then here is the tornado that we're keeping an eye on. It's not the only tornado warning that we have right now. We also have a warning for Smithville, just south of Fulton, Mississippi, farther to the east side of the state. And then we have another tornado warning for Walthall. I hope I'm saying these correctly. I know that I'm probably not. Another one for Newton. And there's that one that we've been keeping an eye on that's going into Collins right now. Just another one. I mean, this is, what is this, the fourth one that I've mentioned that's issued right now going into Tylertown. So again, there's the tornado headed for Bassfield on the northern side of the city right now. It's starting to look really, really complicated on our velocity down here, storm relative velocity on the bottom right of your screen. And that's probably because debris from this tornado is being spread throughout the entire storm now. So it's looking really complicated. It's hard to tell what types of objects are moving in what direction. The radar is getting a bit confused here because we are seeing so much debris within this storm. Very defined debris ball now. Highlighted there in blue, this is what we call on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, correlation coefficients, another product that we can use on our Doppler radars. What this means is whenever we see these blues, that's most likely a debris ball, it's debris that the tornado is picking up and carrying high up into the storm. It's getting caught inside that storm. You look over here, that is not debris. You have to know what you're looking at here. It's a little speck on the radar within a storm, a certain side of the storm. So we're watching this tornado now make its way north of Bassfield or on the north side of the city and eventually into Collins. Okay, is it going into the north side of Collins? eventually into Collins. Collins is getting some pretty decent rain right now. I'll show you the camera that I'm looking at right now. So this is out of Collins. That tornado is down here. Maybe like right over here. And headed to this area. So if we look to the south, it would be on the right side of the screen. However, I'm not seeing anything that we can see. We may still be too far away, or it may be just covered in rain. Really difficult for this town to see it coming. We have one question about the green icon just turned yellow. What does that mean? So this icon right here, I don't pay attention to these too much. I think that this helps people to determine what's happening on the radar, but most meteorologists, they know what's happening. They don't need these too much. Sometimes I'll keep them on there so I don't miss anything, but I think that that yellow icon just means that the storm is either intensifying or I don't know. I don't really look into these too much because I can see right here where that yellow icon is that we have a debris ball there, or we did right here. Now this next scan, it's not looking as impressive. However, it may be just harder to see as the storm is getting a lot messier. It's not as organized as it was earlier. It's a lot messier, but that doesn't mean that it can't cycle through. You know, storms can go in cycles and they can be very organized one minute and not the next, and then they can take that time to reorganize and look more impressive the next minute. That's why these scan by scans are very, very important. I will tell you another thing. We have a confirmed tornado just down to the south and west of this tornado right here. So I mentioned this earlier. These tornadoes are kind of on a track. You know, like trains on a track, they follow one another. So people in Bassfield that just got hit, Oakville, that just got hit have another tornado coming for them just within the next probably less than an hour. It's not now in Tylertown right now, and it does look like it's on the ground. Once again, we can see a pretty decent debris ball from this one as well. Really, really decent radar signature here. So we've got one confirmed tornado that's going into Collins right now, just to the north of Bassfield, or in the northern side of Bassfield. We've got another one out in Tylertown, not too far behind it. And we've even got another one, not confirmed, but a tornado warned storm that's going across the highway in Decatur right now. Yeah, and now that yellow icon is green. So maybe it means that this tornado is weakening. However, again, you can't always, this is why you can't always rely on the like predictive stuff. You can't always rely on like the algorithms. Do you like that? Can't always rely on the algorithms because they don't always tell the full truth. You definitely need a meteorologist to interpret this because that could give you a lot more information on the storm. So here's Collins, this tornado going into Collins in the next few minutes. Not there yet, in the north side of Bassfield right now. But we're seeing, what can we see on our live cameras? Can we see this storm? I mean, it's extremely difficult to see, if anything at all. So I think if we did see anything, it would be up in the right-hand corner of the screen. In this one, and then probably won't see anything if we look to the north. However, we could come down here and look to the north on the north side of Hattiesburg. So we're like right down here now. So this would be on the left side of your screen if we see anything. Now this entire area is warned for a tornado. So as I mentioned earlier, we already had one that has already gone through Oakville. Now it is back in a tornado warning for another one that's in Tylertown that just moved to the north side of the city. So it was on the northwest side of the city, and now it is moving up to the north and east. Once again, expected to hit these exact same places that were already hit by a tornado. All right, still monitoring these traffic cameras here. Chad says, just left there about an hour ago. Are you leaving to get away from the storm? Are you leaving to chase the storm? What are you leaving this area because? Just curious. Michael says, geoengineering of the weather, I can back it up honestly, but I have respect for your channel. Well, we don't geoengineer anything, but we do track the weather. We have several meteorologists right now. I can tell you how many are looking at the radar at a minimum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Mets at least, and then plus myself. We've got 7 meteorologists right now watching the radar. It looks like MDOT is also watching this storm. They're trying to get a good view of it, it looks like. Not quite sure what they're trying to do. Where are we going, MDOT? So this is the camera out of Collins. Here's the tornado. Here's the camera. Pretty close. If this tornado continues the same path, it'll probably just go just barely to the north of this camera, so we may be able to see it. I'm wondering if that's what they're looking at right there. It's a little bit bigger, see if we can see anything. See anything over here? Okay, so I'll show you what I just saw. We may have just lost power in this area because then I don't think that we can go back on this. Because this tree right here just got struck by lightning. From what I saw on the other, I'm monitoring this video on the other screen. I'm trying to see, I mean, this camera is still on, quite impressed. So we'll keep this camera on. You can see there's a lot of lightning coming down. This tornado is going right north of Collins right now. So this is pointed to the north. We should be able to see it. See all that lightning? Holy moly. So this should be the tornado right here on the right side of your screen, right here. And I wonder if the MDOT will change its camera view. I want to go to the right here. This is it. Right there. Okay, yeah, they're finally moving to the right now. That's it right there. Oh, too far. So there's the tornado. Too far again. There we go. So there it is. You're going to see it move away and to the right. Slowly it'll move like this. See it slowly moving to the right side of your screen. You can see it a lot better right now. Or not as close to it. All right, well, now that that has moved out of our camera view, we'll continue to kind of go around the radar and show you what we have on the radar right now. And we'll talk about a few other areas that we could potentially see a tornado on our cameras. Let's go here. There we go. Alrighty. So again, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you hopping on here. Some asking about hail right now. If you're going to see hail, it's probably in this area down in the southern side of Mississippi right now. I think that the farther north that you go, the less likely you are to see hail. Some of these warned for quarter-sized hailstones, but for the most part, we are half-dollar size up in northern Mississippi. But again, most of the activity in Mississippi right now, slowly but surely moving into Alabama. So if you're going to see hail, it'll probably be in Mississippi. But if you're going to see tornadoes, also in Mississippi. So let's kind of talk about, we're going to go around the radar here. We have one tornado warned storm that does have a confirmed tornado on the far eastern side. Let's see if we can get a video on this here. Far eastern side of the state here up in Fulton. So I can show you the closest MDOT camera, but I can't see anything. So of course we want to look to the east. What you're going to see here is you're just going to see rain. There you go. You just see rain here, but that's what we're looking at right here from Fulton off to the east. It's raining there, but that tornado warning has now been expired. So we'll bring that down. Alrighty. We have another tornado warning, of course. We've been talking about this tornado warned storm for a while now. In Little Rock, Mississippi, again, moving up to the north and east pretty quickly. We just talked about this one. We actually saw it on camera out of Collins, Mississippi, going into Taylorsville now. We still have, it's a confirmed tornado. They're calling it a damaging tornado, moving toward the northeast at 45 miles an hour. And then another one in Oakville, which has already gotten hit today. This is the second tornado coming through here. Oakville, a damaging tornado and quarter-size hail up in Oakville right now, and then continuing down to the south, going and crossing into Louisiana, we have another tornado warned storm in Macomb. And we actually have a camera in this area. So let's pull up our cameras once again. Go all the way down to the south. We're going to look to probably to the south, and look on the right side of your screen. You're going to be watching over here to see that tornado. Keep an eye on that. I will be right back. Okay, so we're going back down to the New Orleans radar here. Here we go. That is not the New Orleans radar. That's a great view of that storm. However, not looking up
Okay,
there.
so we're going back down to the New Orleans radar.
So we're looking at this storm right here. You can see a very clear view of where that tornado is going into Chattawa right now, Magnolia. So this camera is just to the south of Chattawa. So if we look to the north, we should be able to see it in the right-hand corner of your screen. That's where we should be able to see. Well, I guess it would be moving left to right. Correct? Looking to the north. Let's see if this will come into view. Because this camera is down here and it's looking to the north. So if we see this tornado move like this, it should go from the left to right hand side of your screen, like this. You can see the camera shaking up and down a little bit here. So we've got some high winds in this area. The camera's shaking up and down. Ooh, lots of lightning. Really good lightning strike right there. All right, this tornado about to cross the highway. Unsure if it is a tornado, unsure if it's on the ground, but it's a tornado warned storm. There's no indication to me that it is on the ground. We'll watch this thing move over the highway here. Right here, our camera, and you know what, I'll switch views for you so that you can see your classic radar reflectivity that you normally see on this side of the screen. So here's our camera right here, and here's the tornado right here, or potential tornado rather. So we've got a view of the highway, and we'll see if we can actually see anything cross over the highway or not. You know, it always shocks me that people are still driving on the highway whenever there's a tornado that could be potentially going over the highway right now. It always impresses me that, I mean, like these big semis are still on the roads. So this storm, I'll tell you, as it crosses over the highway, it's going to be hitting some areas that have already been hit here. So we've got, once again, another storm coming into Bassfield that has already been hit. And it looks like if this storm follows the same track, it will hit the exact same areas like Oakville and Bassfield that we've already talked about today. So these towns are not only getting hit once, but twice. And I know that Tylertown, Mississippi, has already gotten hit just a few minutes ago. And once again, we have another tornado warning to the north of Tylertown and to the south. So they just keep getting hit on both sides of them. So just a little note there that, yeah, we have those storms coming into this area, but if you look down the road a little bit, they're going to be hitting some towns that have already been hit twice. And this looks like a pretty decent storm right here, going into Massfield right now, eventually going into Collins as well. So we'll switch over to that radar here in just a minute. I want to rate out this storm that's moving over the highway right now. It doesn't look like it's on the ground. I'm not terribly impressed by the radar signature right now. However, you can see just the ominous looking clouds from your MDOT cameras right here, really painting a picture of how ominous this is and this situation in this area that these cameras are not too far from. So I am going to move now up to Collins once again. We're back on this video. We'll go to the south first and then we'll switch to the north. We're back on this camera and we'll switch radars as well while we're at it. So we are now on our Jackson radar. There you go. We're looking at this storm, which has quite a good wind field right here, quite an impressive storm relative velocity reflectivity or storm relative velocity signature here. Not as impressive as what we saw earlier moving over Bassfield. However, the National Weather Service is still saying damaging tornado and quarter-size hail from a radar-confirmed tornado. So they're not confirming this off of any spotters, but rather from what they see on the radar. So let me pull some cameras up. This is the camera that we were watching earlier. Moving over a very, very similar spot to what we were watching from the storm earlier. It feels like deja vu a little bit. So I'll leave this up as the storm inches closer to Collins. Another storm that we haven't talked about in a while is the storm that had moved over Collins just a few minutes ago. We're talking maybe 30 minutes ago. That's what you see on the right-hand corner of your screen. A debris ball with this, a violent tornado in progress heading from Taylorsville into Bay Springs. Pretty decent sized tornado here. There's no good cameras that we can see this on, but we can see from radar that this is a really impressive tornado. We once again have a debris ball with this storm. And I think that this is really interesting because this was the storm that all the way back near the state line, it was all the way back here, moving from Louisiana into Mississippi. The National Weather Service called it and said this could be unimpeded. It most likely will not stop. It will most likely be on the ground for a long period of time, most likely be a strong to violent tornado. And they were exactly right. If I look at how long this thing has been potentially on the ground for, we're talking like, they called that 90 miles ago, and we've been tracking this storm now for 90 miles. That is very impressive, that they could say that 90 miles ago and have that come to fruition. So if I'm not mistaken, this is the same storm that they had called a long time ago, saying that this could be a potentially violent storm for quite some time, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Pretty decent debris ball with this moving over Bay Springs right now. And then the other one that is also confirmed farther back to the south, moving over Collins in a very similar area to what we saw earlier, what we saw from this storm, we're seeing once again from this one. I told you it's like trains on a track. They just follow each other and they move in the exact same spot, which means that's very, very dangerous. Now, the hail with this storm, I'm not terribly concerned about. However, the tornado, I think, is the biggest concern in this area. John asks, what do we have going on here? So what we're looking at here is, and William says, can't hear ya. My mic was good earlier. Let me check my mic. But my mic was good earlier. Let's see what we have. My mic's good. You should be able to hear me. Turn up your volume because I can hear me on my Facebook page. So you should be able to hear me as well. You should be able to. So what are we looking at right here? We're looking at a tornado outbreak over Mississippi right now. This is mainly on the southern to eastern side of the state. So you can see this track that most of the tornadoes have taken. We start down here coming out of Louisiana into southern Mississippi, and then we continue to see these tornadoes take this track right here. They go right up to the north of Tylertown into Bassfield Seminary, north of Collins, and Taylorsville actually just took a big hit. We've got our meteorologist watching that storm as well that is now up in Bay Springs. So we were talking about this violent tornado up in Bay Springs right now. What you're looking at on the left side of the screen is a traffic camera out of Collins. So as we watch this tornado out of Collins, and it does look like we have a debris ball with this, so I'm going to say this is on the ground. It looks like it's going to be going just to the north of our camera here. So earlier, the Department of Transportation was moving this camera back and forth, and so hopefully they'll do the same thing this time, because we got to see that tornado on these cameras that ended up hitting Taylorsville from this camera right here. And so we may be able to see this new tornado going into Collins on this camera as well. So we'll see how clear it is as it comes across the road here. I think that we're looking to the north, so I think that we're looking at this road right here, but I could be mistaken on this because, as I mentioned, they have been turning this camera either which way. Starting to see some more lightning on this camera right here. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything here. All right, so there's your tornado. Moving over Williamsburg right now. Moving over Williamsburg, I'm wondering if the Missouri Department of Transportation will move their cameras again. Make this a little bit bigger, try to get an idea of what you're looking at. Not too much going on here whenever we look to the south. Again, from the north as well, looking along that tree line there, not too much going on here right now. However, we're still a little away from Collins, so we're still waiting for that. So again, this is, oh, here we go. We're watching this right here. And as we're watching this, do you guys see this? I'm watching the storm out in Macomb as you guys are watching Collins, and I think that we can see that now. So if I'm not mistaken, if we're looking to the north, it should be on our left side of the screen, moving to the right, so you can see, I think what we're watching for is right here. And you may slowly be able to see that move to the right here. But I'm also watching the storm out in Macomb because we've got another camera out there where we saw some really strong blowing wind, or strong winds, blowing rain, and maybe a little bit of hail with that storm as well. I'm interested to see if we do find any hail with that storm. But absolutely some strong wind. And if you take a look at where's that storm going out of Macomb? Right up to where we've been watching this entire time, right up to Collins, right up to Oakville, which you've heard me say many times, Bassfield, Mount Carmel, and into Collins once again. Can I say that name enough today? That town name has been something that we've talked about and just over and over and over. And did you see how I was correct on we're slowly going to see this area move to the right as this storm slowly moves across the road here. So I'm wondering if MDOT will turn this camera to the right. We watched them do it earlier. Will they do it again? Or will we have to look on a different angle? Oh, well, it does look like they turned the camera. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Let's see. I'm not quite sure where this is facing. It says it's facing to the north. Keep an eye on this. Again, this is warned for a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located near Collins, moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour. That's from the National Weather Service. And you can see it. It's right there where that red square is. You can't see full screen, but there you go. You can see the other radar products that I'm looking at, and then I'll pull back up that camera view so that you can look at the camera once again. There you go. Earlier, if you missed our live stream earlier, we saw this tree take a direct hit from a lightning strike. So we know with that storm that's up in that hit Taylorsville, we know that there's some cloud to ground lightning in it. We may have some buffering here. I'm wondering if that is a power outage. Looks fine now. Do we have any other questions on here? I know that there's a lot of people joining in from Twitter, but, oh, and MDOT is moving this camera back around. We've seen this multiple times here. I know that there's a lot of people jumping on from Twitter who, it looks like they're a little confused on what they're supposed to be looking at here. There you go, MDOT. That's what we want to look at right there, yep. So they found it. It was a little late. Do you remember whenever I said watch that thing move from the left to the right of the screen earlier? Same thing right here. So there's your tornado. Hard to tell, but this is the right location now. What was I asking? Do we have any other questions? Do we have any questions on this Saturday morning? There's your confirmed tornado. We've got another one up in the east side of Mississippi. Another one just hugging the Mississippi-Alabama state line, and another just to the south of Columbus, Mississippi. So we have several tornado warned storms right now. We also have several severe thunderstorm warnings. Quarter-size hail with this one near Jackson and the north side of Jackson. I know we had someone on here earlier from Jackson. Quarter-size hail for this one near Ackerman. Walthall, they've already gotten, I think, some severe storm warnings today, and quarter-size hail. So what we're looking at here is really just some marginally severe wind, 60 miles an hour, and quarter-size hail. What we're looking at down here on this leading line is going to be that tornado threat, including that particularly dangerous situation for a damaging tornado. That's what the National Weather Service is saying as this storm goes into Collins. They need another tornado warning right here. So we're in the north side of Collins right now, but soon this storm will be out of the area, and we definitely need another tornado warning. So eventually we'll get another one for Taylorsville. And I wonder if they're just drawing that up right now. So we will be getting another tornado warning that goes from Taylorsville into Bay Springs. And you can see that storm right here, maybe right over here. I know it's extremely difficult, if not impossible to see, but we know that this is the right location of the storm, just past this Carl's Jr. Right here, that's what we're watching for. And this is not the only storm that you have to watch in Collins. I know this is the second one that we've had, but I did tell you earlier that you're going to have 3 rounds here, and you just had your second round. You've got another one behind you. We do have a tornado here. Little concerned that this isn't warned. Right here, it's technically out of the warning. So Pricedale, it looks like we have some significant rotation, some high wind, maybe even some hail. It's going into the warning now, but maybe they expired that warning just a little too soon. Eventually, this will go right back up to Collins, where we've been watching this entire time. So once again, we've got another storm coming for Oakville, which we've been talking about for, I feel like, about 2 hours now. Bassfield into Collins, then eventually up to places that have already been hit, like Taylorsville getting hit again. And I told you that we would have another tornado warning from Taylorsville to Bay Springs. It looks like the National Weather Service has pulled the trigger on that. They're saying, once again, a tornado, damaging tornado has been confirmed. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. kind of the same wording that you've been hearing all afternoon. And for all of you who are on here for watching for hail, I know that we've done a lot of tornado coverage, but I do want to bring you to an area with some very, very large hail. Okay, baseball size hail. In my forecast today, I wondered if it was worth it to go baseball size hail, and it looks like it was. Let's switch our MDOT camera up to Florence because we do have, I'm pretty sure, a camera in Fulton, excuse me. In Fulton, which is outside of this area, so we do not have a camera up here. Either way, baseball size hail has been reported by the emergency management office in this area. They reported baseball size hail in the Colbert Heights community. Let's see if we can find a picture. All right, I've got some pictures here. Give me just a minute and I'll pull it up. You guys know whenever I produce by myself, it takes me just a minute to get things going here. There you go. Oops. Oh, can you even see it? What about, well, again, you guys know whenever I produce, it takes me just a minute. Here we go. Oh, there we go. All righty. Okay, so from Tyler Elkins on Twitter, marble to tennis ball sized hail. In the Frankfurt to Begreen, you guys have to help me with that town name. Area 10 minutes ago. This is in Alabama. Remember, this is in the northwest side of Alabama. Here's a video. It's a little bit bigger here. And again, this is from Tyler Elkin on Twitter. Not our video, but we'll show it to you. He's got some pictures here as well. Of that large hail. Some of it really spiky. Look at that. You can see the rings on this hailstone. So what you can see here is you can see the clear part of the stone, and then you can see the foggy part of the stone. And basically what that means is that all of that foggy part is all of these little air bubbles that are trapped inside of a hailstone. And you can tell how many times it's gone through the thunderstorm, up and down the thunderstorm, because of how many rings it has on the outside of, or on the entirety of the hailstone. If you broke this hailstone open, you would be able to see all of the rings inside of that stone. But again, he reported up to baseball size hail in the Colbert Heights community. And for reference, that would be, zoom out so you can see what we're looking at here. Mississippi, Alabama, northwestern Alabama, as I mentioned earlier. We do have a tornado warning storm here as well. Tornado warning remains in effect until 3:15. The National Weather Service warned this for ping pong ball sized hail, and it looks like it overperformed, putting down baseball size hail just to the north of Littleville. One last look at that hailstone there. Thank you, Tyler Elkins, for posting that on Twitter. Going down to our other confirmed storms down here. Confirmed tornadoes, excuse me, in this area. I'll leave this, actually I'll leave the wide view radar up for just a minute so that you can see exactly what's happened throughout this entire morning. And I guess afternoon now. I apologize for my spotty radar. It will fix itself. It just takes a minute for it to do so. I see we've got a few more people from YouTube joining us on here. Thanks for joining us. I've got the radar going right now. I see Axeman has joined on saying hello. Thank you for joining us. I'm working on a few things right now, so I'm not talking and I'm not showing your more in detail specific radar, your Doppler radar right now. You're just looking at composite. But I will here in a few minutes once I finish up what I'm doing right here. I'm kind of multitasking today. So I'll jump back on here in a few minutes. Put your questions in the comments section while I work on this, and then we'll get on to the rest of the radar. We'll kind of do around the radar here in a minute and show you exactly what we've been seeing today and what we expect to see for the rest of the afternoon. I guess we're getting late into the afternoon now. What do we expect to see for the rest of the evening? All right, well, I'm gonna hop off of here and get a few more things done this afternoon. We've got a few people on right now, but I am going to hop off and work on getting some social media posts out. So hit that follow button. We'll be posting all over our social medias, including Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you didn't see the forecast, go back and watch the very beginning of this live stream because I did do the forecast just a few minutes ago. Maybe more like an hour at this point. Time flies when you're looking at storms. So go